Good afternoon, grade 5. This is Mr. B, and today we are learning all about fluency in adding and subtracting. These should be lots of fun. Anyways, we're learning like basically tips and tricks, how to add, how to subtract. So, to start off, the most important thing that we need to figure out here is basically how are we going to what's the basic skill that we need? Well, the basic skill is we need to first off recognize multiples of 10, right? Multiples of 10, once you recognize this, you can and you figure this out, you can kind of visualize and understand adding and subtracting a lot easier. So all the multiples of 10 are kind of like this, right? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, and so on, right? So these are all multiples of 10, and they all follow similar things. If you subtract 3 from 80, you're going to get 77. 3 from 70, you're going to get 67. 3 from 60, you're going to get 57, and so on, and like 47. If you were to add, now for the rest of them, if you were to add 3, you're going to get, right, 43. It's kind of simple once you get to these multiples of 10. Everything is easy once you're just adding 3 or adding, 6 added to 30 is just 36, and 20 plus 6 is 26. So 26, right, in German, 2 or 6 and 20. 36. And so then 16, 16, right, 16, you're just adding 6 and it's going into the ones column. So when you get to a multiple of 10, it makes life easier to figure out the adding, right, adding or subtracting, right, because 10 minus 3 is pretty easy. It's 7, right? We're always just going down to a 7. And any of these multiples, if you minus them by minus 3 from any multiple, you can expect to find a 7, and it'll be, 10 column will go down by 1, obviously, because you're going into the next, tens there. So, as we go, we'll come back to this kind of principle here. And that's just really important to get that. The next major thing to really understand and that'll help you a lot is actually being able to, first off, be able to figure out like that 10 plus 9, right, is going to equal 19. And it's the same as going to be for 30 plus 9, right? Plus 9, you're going to get 39. If you can get this part, then you're going to be set. So if you are struggling with just that, like kind of that sort of principle, that when you add a 9 to a 10, you're just going to get 19, or 9 to 20, you're going to get 29. That's something you really want to work with, like being able to add to a multiple of 10 and to be able to subtract from multiple 10. Now, subtracting is a little bit harder, but it's largely the same, right? So if you have 10 minus 9, you're going to get 1, right? Because you take away 10 out of you take away 9 of the 10, you're left with 1. Now, if you have 20 minus 9, you're going to have 11, right? Because, and if we were to do this in the long, drawn out way, we would say, okay, we have to borrow from one of the 10s. Remember, this is kind of symbolizing those long pillory-like ones. And we're taking one of those, breaking it up into a whole bunch of little squares, right? So that we can take the ones. And so each one of these is actually divided into 10 ones. So one 10 like column thing is worth 10 ones. And so you just bring them over here and you get 10. And then this is 1. And 10 minus 9 is 1, and then you just drag down the 1 here. It's really important to be able to understand your ones sort of subtraction. If you can get that then you are golden for doing all the other things. Now, most of our tricks won't involve that. They basically require you to have this concept down as we go ahead here. So, yeah, just bear with me. So, yesterday in class, and thankfully everyone was there, so we can kind of go over this. We had 64 plus 6. Now, the idea here is, okay, so this one's actually pretty easy, right? So 64 plus 6, what we're trying to think here is, okay, this equals what? Well, if we recognize 4 plus 6 is 10, that should be something that we really work on to know. 4 plus 6 is 10, 5 plus 5 is 10, 3 plus 7 is 10, and we should be able to make tens very easily. That's something that we really need to make sure that we're really good at. So when we see 6 plus, or 64 plus 6, we see this, the 6, or this 4 and the 6, and we're like, this is obviously going to go up. That's going to make a 10, right? And we know that if you get a 10, it's going to go into the tens column, and so we'll get a 70. Now, if it's a little bit more complicated, right, and we have something like, let's just say, well, for argument's sake, we'll just do 64 plus 8 this time, right? What's going to happen here, and the way we looked at this yesterday, was that we remember that to get to 70, and first off, we think in our head, okay, life is really easy when we can get to one of these multiples of 10. We see the plus sign, we know we're going up, so we have to think, okay, how many up from 4 do I need to go to get to the next 10, and the next multiple of 10? And because we just did this here, we know that it's going to be 6, right? So we need 6. Now we're adding 8, but we can break this 8 into two numbers. We don't need it to just stay like this 8. We can go, okay, well, if we need 6, we can just take 6, right? Just like imagine if these were little ones, we can just take 6 of them. There's 8 of them in total. We can just take 6 of them, put them to the side, and mix them up with the 4 here, and we would get our 70, right? But we also have the leftover, right? 6 minus 8 is going to leave us with 2 more. So what we're doing here is we're not like changing anything, right? This is still going to equal the same because 6 plus 2 is 8. So we haven't actually lost anything. We're just breaking it up so it's easier for us. And so we go here, and then we plus 6. We just do this section here first because that makes us a quick and easy. We see a 6, we see a 4, bam, shalam. We know we're going to be at the 10. And then we just have this leftover 2, and there we go. We can just say, 2 plus 70 is 72. 70 and 2, right? Science 70. Okay, so that is kind of the concept there that we kind of studied yesterday. I'll do one more just for visualizing again quickly. So let's take, let's do 75 plus 9, okay? So we see 75. We see the plus sign, right? So we know we're going to go up. We want to be going upwards to the next 10s, right? We're going up. So what do we need to do, or how much do we need to get to the next multiple of 10? Up. Well, if we have a 5, we're going to need another 5, right? So we can take 5 from this one, because remember, this is just basically a whole bunch of ones blocks. I'm not going to draw them all, but there are a whole bunch of ones blocks. We can take a group of them and just split them up, and we can take 5 of them, right? And we can also split it up. So if we take 5, we have 4 left. So we're just splitting this up. We take the 75 plus 5, so we're taking this first, and we're just turning this into an 80. We bring this down here, and it's plus 4, and voila, we have a winner, and we're there, 84. So you should be able to do this in your head. That's the really, really important thing. We should be able to quickly do this in our head. you don't need to have to always write it out. You can just think, okay, 75 plus 9. Okay, just break it down. Okay, 5. We need 5 more. Yeah, you just know that if you have 9 minus 5, you're going to be with 4. And so you could just say, okay, we're going to be up at 80, and then we're just adding, we have an extra 4 left over, and we get to 84. So what you want to do is you really want to start thinking about these and finding a way to do it in your head. Now, so this is a very helpful thing to do the math quickly, so you don't have to always write it out, especially with things like this. You know, if you're dealing with a number like 8, 6, 4, 9, and then you're adding like big numbers, then you can use paper, sure. But a lot of times you want to just be able to do it in your head, right? You don't want to take all this time to do relatively small or easier addition problems. You want to just be able to get them done quickly in your head. So the next kind of trick we're going to do is something that's like dealing with rounding and then compensating. So with two numbers, when we're adding with 8 or 9, these numbers are kind of special, and it also will apply for 80 or 90 or even 99 or 98, but we'll get there. So 8 or 9, when we add with 8 or 9, these are pretty close to adding with 10, right? We're pretty close to adding with 10. So what we can do, if we have 16, well, 16 plus 10 is really, really easy. We're just adding to the tens column, right? We just add 1 to the tens column. So it'll just be 26. 37 plus 10, we just adding 1 to the tens column. We'll get 47. So it's very, very simple. Now, to add by 9 should also just be that simple and that easy for us, because all we can do is we can say, okay, well, plus 10 is 47, right? All we have to do is that we just add by 10, and then we just say, okay, minus 1, because it's going to be 1 less than 10, right? Because 9 is, or 10 minus 1 equals 9, right? It's only 1 less. So if you add them up, no matter where it is, it'll always just be 1 less than going up by 10. Now, some of you might have noticed this in your multiplication charts, right? If you go, 9 plus 10 is equal to, 9 plus 10 is equal to 19, but 9 plus 9 is equal to 18, right? And 18 is 1 less than 19. So that's something to keep in mind. So what we can do, right, is if we're struggling, we can just go, so say I wanted to know what 85 plus 9 was. Well, I can do the whole breaking up thing, but there's actually just a faster way. Instead of going 89 plus 5, I can say, well, I can just round it, 85 plus 10, and then say minus 1 afterwards, because 9 is just 10 minus 1. So we go 85 plus 10, which is going to be 95, and then we just take away 1. So 94. And that's our answer, right? If we were to do it the long way, right? Or not the long, our other kind of quick method, plus 9, we would just break this up. We would say, okay, we need 5 here and 4. And then we go 85 plus 5 plus 4. This is going to be 90 plus 4, 94. But this is a lot quicker. This way over here is way quicker. Show you again, just quickly here. 86 plus 9. Well, instead we just say 86 plus 10 and minus 1 at the end. Right? So that's just 96 minus 1, 95. Now, shocker for everyone, 8 is pretty similar, but instead of 1, it uses a 2, right? So instead of using just minusing 1, we will minus by 2, because, right, 8 or 10 minus 8 is equal to 2. And that's because 8 is 2 smaller than 10, right? If you have 10 hockey cards, you have 2 more hockey cards than someone who has 8 hockey cards. So let's just take a look at this. So, right, if I add, let's just do 65 plus 8. If I do it the other way, I'm going to need 5 from here, 3 from here, and it'll be 65 plus 5 plus 3. We know that this is going to make ourselves a 70. Plus 3, we're going to get 73. Nice and easy, right? It's easy, so it's good. But we can do it faster. We can say 65 plus 8 is the same as 65 plus 10 minus 2. And that's going to be obviously 75 minus 2, 73. Now it looks like it's the same steps, and it is. But the big thing is that this is faster in your head. You can do this quicker in your head because all you're doing is just mainly you're doing this part here. You're just recognizing that 8 is 2 smaller than 10, so you can just add by 10 instead of by 8. So that's something really good to keep in your mind. Now the same thing, obviously, applies with 80 or 90. So if I have, let's say, 40 plus 90, this is pretty similar to 40 plus 100. Now, that's because 90 is 10 less than 100, right? So 90 plus 10 equals 100. So it's 10 less. So what we can do, similar to with the 8 and 9, just with basically the zeros added, right? Just basically that's all it is. It's just the zeros added. So it really isn't much more complicated. It's just an extra 0 thrown on the back. But right, so instead of just doing 40 plus 90, which there is a way similar, we can do this, right, plus 90. We can break this 90 up just like we did before. We know 40. We need 60 more to go into the hundreds. So we take 60 of the 90, and we then take the 30 that's left, and we're just breaking it up, right? 40 plus 60 is 100, and then we plus the other 30, and we get 130. And this is very similar. It's exactly the same. If you go like this, right? 4 plus 9 is the same as being 4 plus 6, which is 10, plus 3, 10 plus 3 equals 13, right? It's very similar. It shouldn't be a confusing thing for you. Just the zeros sometimes throw people off, but you can really just ignore them if you want. But the purpose of this is to show you that 90 is very similar to plusing by 100. So adding by 90 is similar to adding by 100. All you have to do is minus 10 at the end. So 40 plus 100 is going to be 140, and then minus 10 is 130. Similarly, if let's just say you had 50 plus 90, okay, instead you just do 50 plus 100 minus 10, 150 minus 10, 140, and there you have it. And you can do it. I can show you the long way, but I won't this time, just to save a little bit of time. 80 is the same sort of idea. Again, plus 80, you can do the same thing. It's basically like 50 plus 100 minus 20 this time, right? Because 80 is 20 less than 100. So you're just rounding here because it's easier. So 150 minus 20, 130. As simple as apple pie once you get the hang of it, once you start catching on. So sometimes it takes a little bit of practice to really get these things in our heads, but once you get it, you're like, oh, that's easy. And then, again, this these zeros sometimes throw people off. Don't get scared by the zeros, okay? We're just working with bigger numbers, but the zeros shouldn't intimidate you. Okay, and then finally, this 99 and 98 thing is also very similar, right? 99 is just one less than 100, right? It's just one less than 100, so you can just round up to 100. So say I was, looking at, let's say 155 plus, well, I'll keep it simple for now. Won't trick anyone. 150 plus 100, or no, sorry, plus 99. I can just be like, okay, that's basically 150 plus 100, right? It's so close. I can just round up. That's going to be 250 minus, all right, and we have to say we're minusing 1 at the end, so minus 1, so it's going to be 249, right? And voila, there you have it. The 8 is very similar with 98 also, right? It's just 98 is plus 2 to get to 100. So if we were just to do this with 98 instead, it would be the same kind of deal, but instead of here, we would say this is minus 2, and then minus 2, and then instead we would have here 48. So that's the gist of that. That's really helpful for rounding, just for getting through math problems easier. If you're close to 10 or 100 or even 1,000, you can just round and then just take away the extra, and it'll just make your life a whole lot easier. Now, yeah, something we really want to do is be able to do this mentally at some point. Okay, so very similar to adding is subtracting. So this I'll just go over pretty quickly here. If we have 96, right, and we're subtracting by 9, the idea here is very, very similar to the addition. We want to get to one of the, not really there, but one of these multiples of 10, right? And 90 is a multiple of 10. Now, remember, instead with addition, we are going up. So we would find how many to get to the next one, which would be 4. But in this case, in a sense, it's actually easier because the number is right there. That's how many we want to go down. We don't have to think about it too much. The only thing we have to think about is how much will be left after we go down 6, right? So 96 minus 1, we're trying to get to the nearest multiple of 10. So we're going to use 6 of it to go down the nearest 10, and that's going to leave us with 3 left, right? And again, we're taking away the same amount, right? Because if you take away 6 and you take away 3, you've taken away 9, because these together equal 9. So 96 minus 6 is going to just be 90, right? You can't kind of getting rid of those. 90, and then you're just minusing by 3, and then you will have 87, right? So this is really, really important for us to also, just to be able to quickly subtract 3 from a 10. It's always going to be or from a multiple 10, it's always going to have a 7 in it. Now, of course, if you're higher up, it's going to have an 87, 97, right? But these are just important things for us to be able to work out. You can see the same thing. I can do a few more here for you, right? 98, well, I guess 98 minus 9, right? We're going to see, okay, we're trying to go down, right? Because we have subtraction. We're trying to get down to the nearest, or down to the next multiple of 10, and that'll be 90. So we're going to need 8 of these ones just to get there, and we'll be left with 1 left. So 98 minus 8, right? That's going to bring us down to 90, and then we just have this 1 left over, and then we just go down to 89, right? If you have 73 minus 7, you're going to go, okay, I need 3 of these ones here to minus from the 73, and left over I have another 4. This is going to be 70, right? That's our goal, to get to the tens, the multiple tens, and minus another 4, and that's going to lead me off at 66. And yeah, so there you have it. So as I said, that's very similar to what we were doing in addition. It's just going the other way. We're just having to figure out how many of these it's going to take to get down to 90. Now, just because we've done all this, you have to be careful. You don't start figuring this out before you've actually figured out how much that you are actually going to go down, right? So if it's 98 minus 7, you just subtract this, right? You're going to need all of these just to get it down, and there'll still be some of these ones a lot around, right? So it'll actually be 91 ultimately, right? So that's just, I don't know, that's just something that you need to be aware of, that it's not, you're not always going to do this. You got to check first that you're subtracting by more ones than are in the ones column here before you break this up. Now, just as before, you can end up subtracting. We can also do similar to these 8 and 9 things here. We could do it with subtraction as well. So we can use tens instead, right? So if I have 88 minus 9, I could do the whole breakdown thing, or I could just say, well, that's very close to 88 minus 10 plus 1, because it'll be going back 1. This is going down by 1 more, which would be 78 plus 1, and then you'd have 79, right? The same for the 90s and 100s, right? If I'm going to be subtracting, let's just say 180 minus 90. Well, I can just do this like this: 180 minus 100 plus 10, right? Because 9, we're going down by an extra 10, so we just have to compensate. That's the word. We're compensating because of rounding up. So that's pretty easy. We're just saying 80, and then plus 10 is 90. Perfect. And yeah, then obviously with 8, it'd be very similar, right? But instead, if you add 87 minus 8, you're gonna go okay, so that could be 87 minus 10 plus 2 instead, right? Because you're doing 8. This is going to be 77 plus 2, and just bring it up here. That's going to be 79. Yeah, so, and the same with the 80s, it's plus 20 instead of plus 10. And over here, this is very similar as well, right? When you're 99, 98. So let's just say 150 plus 99. Now, if you're trying to do this, this can be kind of complicated, especially if you wanted to, especially if you sort of tried to figure it out this way, right? Like, you're going to end up taking up valuable time. 9 and 9 plus 5, you're going to be like, okay, this you have to add this up, so it's going to be 14. You have to take the 1 over 2, so that's kind of a slow way of doing it, when you can really just quickly say, this is basically like 150 plus 100, going to be very close, just minusing our 1 at the end. Minus, not plus. We just did plus. 150 minus 100 plus 1, because you're going down by 1 extra here. So this would be 50 plus 1. So it'd be 51, right? Okay, so anyways, guys, I know that was a lot, and a lot of people won't even see this. This is just for maybe a person sick tomorrow, and yeah. But anyways, I hope that helps with anyone who's been struggling with it, that they can get a bit of extra instruction on how this works. Anyways, see ya. Bye.